Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I have my December wrap-up. The first book I read in December was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the first book in the Raven cycle and follows the character of Blue Sergeant and all these other students from the Aglenby Academy as they go in search of a dead Welsh king who is said to grant them all wishes. It is a great book, a great start to a young adult series that a lot of people have already read, and I will leave a link to my full review. Next we have The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh, and I did not like this book. I saw people have already put this on their top books of last year's list, and people have already said that they enjoy this book, and they're talking about the incredibly descriptive language, and I don't doubt that they do enjoy descriptive language, but I can't help but see it as purple prose. I don't actually see that anything happened within this book, and I can't understand any of the characters' motivations. They didn't actually feel like fully formed characters to me. Shazi did seem very much, she's just walking around, and every now and then Renee Ahdieh would like throw this thing in where Shazi would attack Khalid and be like, and there you go, this is proven they actually don't like you as a human, and then a few pages later he'd kiss her or he'd give her a necklace and she'd be like, oh wait, actually you're not too bad, and you're a tortured soul and we all love a good tortured soul, don't we? But no, it was a load of shit. I'm going to finish reading the second one to see if it gets any better, to see how this story ends, but really I don't know why I'm inflicting this on myself. Next, I finally finished reading Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb that I started all the way back in September. I will be giving more of an in-depth review once I've reviewed Ship of Destiny, but Fool's Errand I read as part of the Hobble-Along run by Sam over at Sam's Nonsense. I am way behind on this read-along, but this is the first book in the Tawny trilogy and sees Fitz having to return to the world that he has left behind because of Prince Dutiful going missing, seemingly being kidnapped. I liked the change in the relationship between Fitz and the Fool here. I could see why they were actually friends, which I didn't get from the Farseer trilogy. It felt very much like a Holmes and Watson relationship, and I liked how they bounced off each other. I also liked that it talked more about the wit and witted ones within this book and revealed that although we thought the unrest had ended, it's still there. It's just that the war that was mentioned in the first few books is over, and there's still a lot of terrible stuff going on within this world. Next, I finally read The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Again, this is a book that I've seen Sam talking about, but it's a series that I've really wanted to finish. And a few years ago, my friend Lindsay said that if you write fantasy or you read fantasy, you really need to read this book. And I have only ever made it to the chapter with Tom Bombadil before, so this time I found out I'd got 6 credits built up on Audible, so I downloaded the audiobook and I listened to that, and I have to say that the narrator of that made this book a lot better than it actually is, because I think I waited too long to read it. A lot of the time there's just loads of people there saying this happened and this happened, and there's a lot more like telling exposition than I thought there would be, because I've seen all the films. I don't know that the films ruined it for me. I just think that had I read this when I was younger, I probably would have enjoyed it more than I did. But I didn't hate it. I liked it. I just don't think that it's the best book in the world, and I don't hold it up to as high esteem as some of the other writers of fantasy that I have read. The next book that I listened to this book on Audible, and this book is The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett, the first book in the Discworld series. I've been meaning to read Terry Pratchett for a long while now, and this book popped up on Audible as a recommendation, so I downloaded it. It takes 3 hours to listen to on double speed, and it is a hilarious book. It had me laughing out loud at times, and it follows this character of Rincewind who ends up having to care for this other guy who's appeared from this other world who's a tourist, who's called Two Flowers, and he just leads him into all this buffoonery. Before I realised all of the sexism when I was younger, I quite liked the Carry On films, and this reminded me of the Carry On style humour minus the sexism and the bras flying off. And I think it's British humour at its best, and in this fantastical setting it worked brilliantly, and I enjoyed it so much that I went and I downloaded the second book already to listen to, and I'm I might be planning on buying the physical copies at some point now, because I really did enjoy this book, and I think that Terry Pratchett is hysterical. I think there's 40 books in the series, so it's going to keep me going for a long while. Next, I also downloaded The Subtle Knife to listen to by Philip Pullman. Again, it had a great narrator, and it was a great audiobook to listen to. Philip Pullman narrates. I didn't like this book as much as Northern Lights, but I still like this book. It's pretty dark. I'm not sure how much I care for the religious elements within this book, but I think in the Amber Spyglass I'm going to understand them more. I still feel pretty confused by the whole thing of like the worlds and the fighting, but I don't know. We know that Philip Pullman can be controversial when talking about religion, but it is a good book, and I feel like I should have read it when I was a child, because I'm pretty confident that I would have enjoyed it more and got more out of it when I was younger than I am listening to it as a 24-year-old. And the final book that I read in December, indeed the final book that I read in 2016, and just before the fireworks started on the telly, I kid you not, it was 11:59, is Mr. Majestic by Elmore Leonard. I am still not sure how I feel about this book. On the one hand, I think that Elmore Leonard is great for writing a simplistic novel based on his own screenplay and a film, and it really did capture the style of those films at the time, the gritty films, which I was quite appreciative of. And this book follows Mr. Majestic. He one day goes and he picks up all these workers to go back and help him get the melon crop in, and when he arrives home he finds this man is there with workers he doesn't know, and basically he ends up doing all he can do and smashes this man's face in. Then whilst he's in police custody, he escapes with this serial killer who I think is also a hitman called Render, and he is planning on giving him back to the police, and he ends up finding himself an enemy with Render and the police and this guy whose face he smashed in at the start. And these guys all think that they can push him around, and they all decide to team up so that they can kill Mr. Majestic, not realising just how good of a strategist Mr. Majestic is. It's only 150 pages long, and I really liked Leonard's prose. I don't think it's the type of book where there would be more characterisation than this man just wanting to get his melon crop in. And obviously he did base this book off a screenplay, so it is very sparse, because I think he is trying to recreate the feel that the film would have created. Either way, I think that it is a great book of the time and for the genre, and I am looking forward to reading more of his books in the future. And them's the books. If you've read any of them and want to talk about them more, please feel free to do so in the comments section. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.